The Kennedys love it, and so will you. There's only one Cape Cod.
On this edition of On the Map, we're still in Cape Cod, and we head to Provincetown to meet some local characters. We take a Dune tour with the last surviving Dune tour company in the area, and we also head to WellFleet to try some true French cuisine. But first, we head out into the Atlantic in search of some larger-than-life mammals. The Hyannis Whale Watcher cruises have been taking tours out into the ocean for more than 30 years, beginning back in 1980, which is all the more reason why we feel confident that joining this tour will result in a phenomenal whale watching experience.
Whale watching started in New England in the mid-1970s and exploded from there, with whale watching companies up and down the east coast of the United States starting to whale watch. We've been whale watching out of Barnstable Harbor for many years, and we're very lucky because we have a modern vessel and one of the fastest whale watching boats in New England. She's jet propulsion, so we have no props in the water. She moves by having 5 jet engines, and she's kept up to be one of the best whale watching boats around.
During our whale watch, we got some tips from the experts that you might find helpful. First, get a good night's sleep. A whale watching tour typically lasts 3 to 4 hours, and unless you're going to swim, you can't go home early. Stay hydrated. It minimizes that seasick feeling, and sodas do not count. Dress appropriately. Remember, whales live in the deep water for a reason. It's always a minimum of 10 degrees cooler. Make sure to bring polarized sunglasses, the most important tools for viewing the whales. And finally, bring a camera. You don't want to be disappointed by not documenting one of the funnest experiences in your life.
So just off the coast of Massachusetts, we have an underwater plateau called Stellwagen Bank. And this is an area of upwelling, so it brings nutrient-rich water from the bottom to the surface. And because it does that, it brings in quite a few animals, including many species of large whales.
You people are getting such a treat down there on the lower deck. Look how curious this calf is. Totally checking out everything that's happening back there. Mom is doing her thing. Keep looking back to see if we're missing bubbles from her.
So there are 4 species of baleen whales that we typically see offshore. They include the critically endangered North Atlantic right whales that winter in Cape Cod Bay. We also see endangered finback whales and endangered humpback whales, as well as minke whales. We sometimes can see other species as well, including toothed whales like dolphins or porpoises, and on occasion we'll get a chance to see a shark. The one we see most frequently is called a basking shark, second largest shark in the world, called basking sharks because we see them right at the surface.
He's right there with the cat.
As the calf gets closer, you get lost in its size and forget that it's just a small whale, a young calf. And as the pungent smell of the whale breath mixed in the air with the salt, the crowd stared in bewilderment at the size and the sight of nature untouched.
So we're able to identify individual species of cetacean from natural marks on their body. Every type of whale, dolphin, and porpoise has some natural mark we can identify them with. In the case of humpback whales, we've been studying them from the mid-70s from a pattern of pigment on the bottom of their tails that varies from all white to all black and is unique to every whale like fingerprints are unique to humans. So there's been a catalog of over 3,000 humpback whales that have been identified in our waters, and we're able to track them over the course of their life, in some cases 4 and 5 generations.
As we head inland, the tour takes a time to review the Great Marietta marine life that we saw. Looking at the list, we saw 3 basking sharks, which are among the largest in the shark family. Actually, they're second only to whale sharks. In the whales we saw today, we saw many humpbacks, including Cardew and her calf, Scratch. The calf was the one that was so interested in the boat. Scratch came up and gave us a real show. Out on the deck, we can see so much scenery that we quickly passed by as we were heading out earlier. From the beautiful beach homes along the shoreline to the boats sitting still in the marinas. You must take a boat out at some point during your journey along the Cape. we arrive on the dock, Brittany and I leave the whale-watching vessel, heading off to our next destination, Provincetown.
Provincetown, also known as P-Town, is a unique part of the Cape. It is home to people of all different walks of life. Coming here, you get a sense of acceptance, knowing that it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. It is a town filled with vibrant colors, a fun personality, and music that fills the air, touching the happy soul of every traveler.
If you don't come back to stay, know it's gonna be a brand new day, 'cause I'm walking with my baby on down to San Francisco Bay. No way, gotcha. Go.
Massachusetts, Provincetown, Massachusetts, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scarby. I have a local show here called Lipstick. Check me out. Runs all summer, Thursdays through Sundays. And you are?
Robbie Morris.
Robbie, nice to meet you. Welcome to Provincetown. What do you know about Provincetown, Robbie?
I know it's very lively so far.
It is a lively place. It's a place where everybody is welcome. Provincetown started out as a fishing village around 1900. Lots of Portuguese folks in here, which is why we have fantastic Portuguese food. Became an artist colony because of the incredible light here. People love to paint. So being the arts, a lot of gay people moved to the area, and it became a very diverse situation where everyone is welcome in Provincetown. And now it's a huge tourist destination. There's shopping, accommodations, there's food, there's boating, there's all sorts of things. Beach life is incredible, and wonderful entertainment, Robbie. Thank you for asking. What else can I tell you?
Tell me a little bit about what you like about P-Town.
Well, I like that P-Town is all welcoming. People will come here because they know they are welcome. Sometimes they'll come here because they're not sure exactly what they're going to run into, and they'll come away feeling like they've seen people, types of people that they're not used to seeing. But what better way to get used to someone who's not like you than to come to Provincetown? Because you know what? You're not like me, I'm not like you, I'm not like you, which makes us all the same. That's the beauty of Provincetown.
I like that look.
Thank you.
So, this is our show, Divas, Icons, and Legends, starring Electra. It's at 7 o'clock at the post office. I'm Maxwell, I'm the MC of the show. This is as drag as I'll get. And Electra does all the drag characters herself. She starts off as Lady Gaga. She then does Marilyn Monroe, Pink, Bette Midler, Barbra Streisand, and finally Elton John. And you actually see all the transformations right on stage. It's the only drag show like it in town or pretty much anywhere I know of. And it's a wonderful show. Kids love it. Adults love it. Gays love it. Straights love it. Everyone loves the show. They just love it. And I feel very lucky to be a part of it and really enjoy working with Electra. So anyone who's watching this, come to Provincetown and see the 7 o'clock show at the Post Office Cabaret.
Hey Brittany, I'm Rob with Arts Dune Tours. How are you? You too. You ready to go out and see some dunes? All right, let's go. Let's be careful crossing the street.
After meeting with several locals, we make our way down Commercial Street to meet with Rob. He will carry us out on a dune tour that only Arts Dune Tours can provide. Rob, and he is the owner of Arts Dune Tours. Thank you for taking us out.
Sure, it's my pleasure.
This is so much fun, and we're learning a lot. So can you give our viewers a history of the dunes here?
Yeah. Well, we're in an area that's about 4,000 acres large, and it's all sand dunes. I mean, some of our sand dunes right on the distance there are over 110 feet tall. And it was all formed by glaciers that formed the rest of the Cape, bringing all this sand up into a huge sand spit. So Provincetown, at the very tip of the Cape, is just a huge sand spit with all these sand dunes and beaches. That's why we have these beautiful hills of sand here. It's really incredible. So up here on the left, you see where these big hills are? That's where they filmed the Thomas Crown Affair, the original, with Steve McQueen and Faye Dunaway. And my father actually helped film the movie out here with them. He met Steve and Faye, and my mom actually made Steve McQueen a coffee cake, and he liked it so much he asked for another one, so she ended up making 2 coffee cakes for him. So she had his autograph thanking her for the cakes and how delicious they were. That was that famous scene where they were driving in a dune buggy over the Cape, the big dunes and stuff. And the shack on the distance up there, that's the only one with deeded property. So his father came out, bought the land from the town, and proceeded to pour a cement foundation underneath that shack, which deemed him not a squatter. My dad started, and he ran trips through here, and ever since then, 1946, so it's our 69th year this year, and we're still doing it. And I came home about 20 years ago. My father had Alzheimer's, to manage and take over the reign of the company, and we're now doing new and different things like clam bakes on the beach with fires, and weddings and remembrance gatherings, and it's been really, really great to take on the legacy that he left me. The best view, I would think that you can look anywhere and get a good view. I mean, just even behind us right over there, I mean, the different colors of vegetation with the shadowing of the dunes. Off in that area, you have the big sand dunes, you have the ocean behind me, so anywhere you look is a very scenic view. And that's why a lot of the artists, come to Provincetown, because the lighting is very unique here, because we're surrounded by the water, and we have the light reflecting off the sand dunes. And they even knew this way back in the late 1800s. That's when Charles Hawthorne started the Cape Cod School of Art, which is the first of its kind in the country, which makes us one of the oldest continuous art colonies in the United States.
That's interesting. So nobody's allowed to drive on this but you guys, correct?
In a sense, I mean, we're the last surviving dune tour company out of about 14 that have come and gone through the years. So currently we're the only commercial business in here, and dune shack dwellers are allowed to drive on the trails here, and park rangers. So there's really just a handful of people that are allowed to drive on the hills here. And we have a nice little fruit to the right here. You'll see the little plums on the right. They don't look like much now. They're the little berries, but they're famous in Cape Cod. They're beach plums, and they make a wonderful beach plum jelly. So in another 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be able to, pass them out and pick some and pass them out for people to try. But the jelly's really, really good. Now the cement structure that we'll see up there, that's the old foundation of the old Peaked Hill Coast Guard Station, which was one of 13 life-saving stations built off Cape Cod's coast, and one of 3 off Provincetown's coast that were built when the government started the United States Life-Saving Service. And it was a national program that Congress enacted, but it was very strong in Cape Cod because of the very violent nor'easters and the many shipwrecks that happened on Cape Cod's coast. And those basically happened because of our treacherous sandbars that hug the coast, that peninsula. And you got to remember, Cape Cod Canal wasn't built till 1912. So prior to 1912, any ships going north and south had to go around the dangerous peninsula instead of through the safe passage of the canal. So look at this map here. Each one of these dots represents a station, and the one that's to the right there is right there. And this is just a small example of all the shipwrecks. So these sandbars are shifting and changing, and Cape Cod Canal wasn't built till 1912, so if all these ships going north and south had to come around the peninsula. And then if they got caught on a sandbar, look what, some of these would just get pulverized by the pounding surf. So the United States government started the life-saving service, and they rescued people either by rowboats or by the breeches buoy technique, which was a very unique and successful technique of firing from a cannon the line out to the vessel, whereas they would send over what they called the breeches buoy apparatus, basically a buoy with a pair of canvas breeches sewn underneath. And then one at a time they would send it over above the dangerous surf, rescue everybody, getting in one at a time, and then the guys hoisting them into shore, back and forth, ship to shore. So this service became our Coast Guard service in 1915, and they used this until the early 50s. And even today, our Navy uses breeches buoy on the open sea to transport men and women from ship to ship. So it's fascinating how they used to, fire the cannon out, and this is the Coast Guard guys practicing this breeches buoy technique. But the life-saving boats were very effective as well, especially on shipwrecks that were further out, So there's the shack off in the distance where Tennessee Williams wrote, and Jack Kerouac and Hazel Hawthorne Warner. I'm sure there's a lot more people on that list. Yeah, Marlon Brando actually walked across the dunes to audition for his role in the production of Streetcar. He did that in the shack.
You guys have several different tours that you offer.
Yeah, we have a 1 hour trip. We have a 2 hour sunset tour, which is in basically the same area. And then you can add a clam bake or a barbecue to that sunset evening. So we basically set up chairs and you sit on the beach, watch the sunset. Brand new this year.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so we're working on combining packages with our Dune tour with other businesses so people get a well-rounded experience of Provincetown.
Cool. And you are located in Provincetown.
Yes.
How would people get in touch with you if they wanted to come out with it?
They can check us out on our website. We have one at artsdunetours.com. We have a Facebook page and an Instagram page and a Pinterest page. And we can call, you can call toll-free 1-800-894-1951.
That's cool. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
If you ever come down here, we would want you to come in and say, "How you doing?"
You said that to me on the phone earlier.
You caught it.
Holding back the laughter.
Yeah, it's a nice little pun that I thought of a couple years ago.
That's a good one. Well, thank you for taking us out.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And talking with us.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. So we're looking at my dad when he was with, this was taken in the 70s, it's a 71 International, and then, or 69 actually. And this is my father with Ted Williams and Kurt Gowdy. And they did a show out here on the Cape. Then over here we have the Black Hawk helicopter, which was the promotional helicopter that the Sikorsky aircraft did a promotional film out in the dunes with my dad, and that was a prototype to sell to the Army. And as we come down here, this is some of the older trucks that my dad had. We had the Jeep Willys, we had a 38 International. Back there we have a picture of the Dune buggies with Steve McQueen at Faye Dunaway. Yeah. And this was my dad when he first started. Hold on.
One of the most enjoyable parts of our travels is indulging in some well-deserved meals. And tonight we have come to PB Boulangerie Bistro, located in WellFleet, to sit down and taste some of the authentic French cuisine that they prepare here in this restaurant.
Tonight we're here at BB's Boulangerie and Bistro on the Cape, and we're trying all sorts of stuff that Philippe has on his menu here. He's the chef. We have here a baked clam, which I've never seen before, and then we have here some corn soup. It's really good. Just baked oyster. Try this out. It's got a lot of flavor to it. But something different that you only find here.
The preparation of the food here is truly authentic French. It's not any kind of Americanized version of French food, and it's known for great food, but it's not fine dining, although the food and the service here will treat you as such as if you feel that you're in a fine dining restaurant. Ordering items such as creme brulee and assorted different pastries is a great way to get a good sense of the desserts that they have here at this restaurant.
I'm here with Felipe. He's the head chef and owner of, okay, I can't pronounce it. So
PB Boulangerie Bistro.
Yes, that place. And it is all French.
All
And
French.
It is amazing. So is it all authentic French?
All authentic French. Here is having the concept is a boulangerie, a bakery, plus a bistro, is a neighborhood place. All the thing at the bakery as you're using, the croissant, the butter is from France, the flour is from here. Everything as you try to do, as you try to reproduce something where it's close to France. You know, all the product that you're using is only the butter I'm using from France, but all the product I'm using in my kitchen, they are local, from little farmer. Like tonight I have the farmer is being coming from Brewster, bring us carrots, salad, lettuce, everything as you try to do is like a simple cooking but with flavor and with some taste, you know?
Yeah, and that's really good because the food here does not taste like food at other French restaurants that have been Americanized, so it makes it so much better. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the dishes that you serve?
Tonight I serve you a 6 and 6. Is a dish where it's 6 raw oyster from WellFleet. They grow here. This oyster you have tonight, they are 3 years old oyster, like harvested by Richard Bakley. They do all the oyster for us. They are beautiful size. They are 3 years oyster. As you create that dish, because one as you are in WellFleet, and WellFleet is known for the oyster. WellFleet oyster, they know, I think, everywhere in America. And as you create the oyster, the hot oyster I created with the spinach and the oyster and the butter, it's like the same spirit of the snail, the escargot, but with an oyster. And when you eat the oyster and you eat the hot oyster and the raw oyster, is really a flavor where mixed together, and it give you at the end you're still having a nice flavor of oystering. And after you have the striped tonight. Striped has been made with some mashed potato and bacon and leek and white wine, like little bit the spirit of New England clam chowder made in the mashed potato with the striped bass. Striped bass is just the season start 2 days ago, and with some little French toast of béarnaise and a little bordelaise sauce, red wine sauce, you know. And after you have like the chicken. No? The chicken is cooked à la rôtissoire, à la broche, as you're having in the kitchen, like it's cooking à la broche is like on the split, as you cook them for 45 minutes, and after they cut and serve directly over some roasted potato and tomato and a jus. And everything as you do from A to Z, as you try to do a simple cooking, everything I do is in-house. The sauce, I make my veal demi-glace, I make like all my sauces, everything is made in-house.
So what's a typical dining experience like here, would you say?
I'm a bistro. A bistro in France is something where is not a fine dining. I'm not a fine dining. It's convivial. You can see people at the bar tonight. They eat at the bar. It's like 10 top at the bar, 10 cover. But people, they don't know each other, and after they talk and they know each other, it's like I'm a neighborhood bistro. Is that what I want? I'm a neighborhood bistro. I'm comfortable as you open year around. Cape Cod is seasonal. Unless you're trying hard to stay open year round, the bakery is open 7 days a week, year round. As I mean, 7 days a week. All the things you do, like the bread, is made in house. As you make your own yeast, Danish is same thing. All the Danish, all the pastry, they're all made in house. You know, it's a plus to touching a product. When you're touching a product, like on the morning, you have the tuna, or you have the sea scallop. They're fresh, they're beautiful. The firm is like something where it's unique, you know, it's a unique place, you know.
Yeah, it's very unique. Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for coming.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
On the next episode of On the Map,
we wrap up our story in Cape Cod, but not before visiting the community of Jesus at the Church of the Transfiguration. We will show you our pick of where to stay on the Cape, as well as dining more American style with lobster bakes, fried clam chowder, and a wonderful bar and grill. If you enjoyed this show, check out previous episodes and more on our YouTube channel. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at On The Map TV to get pics and updates as we're out on the road.